The photo booth printed 4 pictures from my funeral. That sounds like the beginning of a ghost story. It wasn't. Ghost stories are kinder than this. They let you believe the dead are trying to speak. What I found in that dying mall was worse, because every photograph was real enough to hold between my fingers. I had gone back to Westboro Plaza to clean out my father's camera shop. The mall was closing after 43 years. Half the stores were already empty. The fountain had been drained. The food court smelled like old grease and bleach. The glass ceiling leaked in 3 places, and whenever the wind moved over it, the whole building made a low, tired sound, like it was remembering crowds that would never come back. My father's shop was called Harper Photo and Film. He opened it before I was born and refused to close it long after everyone else stopped bringing in rolls of film. He said digital cameras made people careless. He said a photograph should cost you something, even if it was only patience. After he died, the mall manager gave me 2 weeks to clear the place. I went on a Sunday morning with cardboard boxes, black coffee, and the kind of grief that makes every object feel heavier than it is. The shop looked exactly as he left it. Glass counters, old lenses, tripods, faded sample portraits on the wall, a dusty sign near the register that said 1 hour photo, though the last 1 hour order had probably taken him 3 days. In the back room, I found envelopes of negatives, repair tickets, and a locked metal cabinet I did not have the key for. I also found a door I had never noticed. It was behind a shelf of photo paper, narrow and painted the same beige as the wall. When I moved the shelf, the door opened into a service hallway that ran behind the stores. The hallway was dark, with exposed pipes overhead and old posters curling from the cinder block walls. At the end of it stood a photo booth. Red curtain, chrome trim, cracked plastic seat, a coin slot with a piece of masking tape over it. I knew that booth. Everybody in town knew it. It used to sit beside the arcade when I was a kid. My brother and I spent every allowance quarter there until my father told us we were wasting money on pictures that made us look like suspects. My brother's name was Owen. He disappeared when he was 13. That was how my family always said it. Disappeared. Not ran away. Not died. Not taken. Disappeared. One afternoon in October, Owen walked from the camera shop to the arcade and never came back. The police searched the mall, the parking lots, the creek behind the building. Nothing. My mother broke in a way that made the house quiet forever. My father kept the shop open because he said if Owen ever came home, he would know where to find us. For 22 years, he never did. And now the old photo booth was hidden behind my father's shop. I should have called someone. Instead, I pulled the curtain aside. Inside, the air smelled like dust, metal, and a chemical sweetness I remembered from the darkroom. The little stool was cracked. The screen was dead. On the wall, someone had scratched 2 initials into the plastic. OH. Owen Harper. Below them, smaller. NH. My initials. Noah Harper. I touched the letters and felt the past step closer. The machine clicked. I jumped back so hard my shoulder hit the frame. A strip of photo paper slid from the slot. I stared at it. The booth had no power. The mall had cut electricity to that hallway years ago. The cord hung loose behind it, wrapped around one leg like a dead snake. Still, the strip kept emerging. For photographs. I pulled it free. The first picture showed a church sanctuary. Soft yellow light. Wooden pews. White flowers near the aisle. The second showed a closed casket. The third showed my mother sitting in the front row, older than she was now, one hand pressed over her mouth. The fourth showed a framed photograph on an easel. My photograph. My funeral. I did not move for a long time. Somewhere in the empty mall, a security gate rattled in the wind. I looked at the strip again and noticed something I had missed. In the third photograph, standing behind my mother at the edge of the frame, was a man in a dark coat. He had Owen's face. Not 13-year-old Owen. Not the boy from missing posters and school pictures. Owen as he would be now. 35. Thin. Tired. Alive. I put the strip in my pocket and ran back to the shop. The metal cabinet in the back room suddenly mattered more than everything else in the building. I searched my father's desk until I found a key taped under the bottom drawer. Inside the cabinet were cameras, old ledgers, and a wooden box labeled Mall Booth Service Records. The box was full of photo strips. Hundreds of them. Most were ordinary. Teenagers making faces. Couples kissing. Kids holding ice cream cones. My brother and me wearing oversized sunglasses from the dollar store. But near the bottom, the strips changed. The dates written on the backs were all after October 17th, 2001, the day Owen disappeared. One strip showed my father standing alone inside the booth, eyes red, holding Owen's missing poster. Another showed my mother asleep at her kitchen table, years later, her head on folded arms. Another showed me at 16, outside the shop, staring at the arcade where my brother vanished. My father had been collecting impossible photographs for years. At the very bottom of the box was an envelope addressed to me. Noah, if the booth prints you a funeral, do not trust the date. Trust who attends. My father's handwriting. My hands went cold. Inside the envelope was a cassette tape, a key card for an old mall office, and a letter. Noah, I thought I had more time. That is the first lie every father tells himself. If you're reading this, then the booth showed you something I could not explain before I died. It does not predict death. It shows the photograph someone is most afraid to develop. Your brother did not vanish from the arcade. He vanished from my shop. I read that sentence again and again until it stopped being words and became a whole. My father wrote that on the day Owen disappeared, a man came into the shop with a camera for repair. He was nervous, sweating, asking too many questions about exits and security cameras. Owen noticed blood on the man's sleeve. Not much, just enough. My father told Owen to stay in the shop and called mall security. But Owen followed the man into the service hallway. By the time my father reached the back door, Owen was gone. The man was gone too. Police never found him. 3 days later, the photo booth printed a strip. Owen sitting in the booth, alive, holding up 4 fingers. For days. That was how long he had been missing. The next week, another strip printed. Owen in a basement room, holding a newspaper. My father took it to the police. They called a hoax. They said grief made people easy to manipulate. They kept the strip and lost it. So my father stopped giving them the photographs. He started hunting alone. For 22 years, I found a cassette player in the shop window display and played the tape with the door locked. My father's voice came through, older and rougher than I remembered. Owen, if you ever hear this, I'm sorry I told people you disappeared. That word made it sound like you left us. You didn't. I lost you. The tape clicked softly. Noah, I followed every picture the booth gave me. Some led nowhere. Some led to rooms emptied days before I arrived. Some showed things that had already happened. Some showed things I was too late to stop. He coughed. The last useful strip came in 2014. It showed an office under the mall, one I did not know existed. I found the door. I found records. I found names. Then someone found me. There was a long pause. If you saw your funeral, it means the booth is showing you what I feared most. That you would continue this and pay for my failure. But look closely. Owen attends. If he attends, he is alive. The tape ended with one final sentence. The office keycard still works before midnight. I looked at the keycard in my hand. It had no logo, just a number scratched into the plastic. B12. The mall was supposed to close at 6, but nobody checked the old service corridors anymore. At 11:20 that night, I entered through the delivery door behind my father's shop. The building felt different after dark. During the day, it was sad. At night, it was watchful. My flashlight moved over dead storefronts. A bridal shop with naked mannequins. A toy store with sun-bleached animals in the window. The arcade gate was down, but I could still see the old racing game where Owen beat me every time and claimed it was because he understood engines spiritually. I almost laughed. Then I heard footsteps. Not close. Below me. The keycard worked on a gray door beside the freight elevator. Stairs led down to a level I had never known existed. The air changed as I descended. Cooler. Damp. Smelling faintly of paper and rust. At the bottom was a hallway lined with old mall offices. B12 was the last door. Inside were file cabinets, a desk, and a wall covered in photographs. Not photo booth strips. Surveillance stills. Children. Teenagers. Employees. Delivery drivers. Faces circled in red marker. Owen's school picture was pinned near the center. Beside it was mine. My adult face, printed from a recent photo I had not known anyone had taken. On the desk was a folder labeled Harper. Inside were copies of my father's letters, photographs of our house, and a newspaper clipping from his obituary. Someone had been watching my family long after Owen disappeared. Behind the folder was a cassette recorder. The tape inside was labeled B12 Interview, 2001. I pressed play. At first, There was only room noise. Then a man's voice said, "Tell me your name." A boy answered, "Owen Harper." My legs nearly gave out. Owen, 13 years old, alive on that tape. Angry, try not to sound scared. "Did you see where the man went?" I saw what he had in the bag. What did he have? A camera, and money, and pictures of kids. The man's voice changed. "You should not have followed him. My dad called security. Your father called the wrong people." There was a scrape of chair legs. Owen said, "I want to go home." The man replied, "That is going to be difficult now." The tape stopped. I stood in the underground office with my brother's voice still hanging in the air. Then the phone on the desk rang. It was an old landline, beige plastic, no screen, no reason to work. I let it ring 3 times. Then I picked up. A man's voice said, "Your father should have burned the booth." I did not speak. "Leave them all, Noah. Where is Owen?" The man sighed, almost sadly, still making the same mistake. "Who are you?" "Someone who knows what happened to boys who followed strangers through service doors." The line went dead. I ran, not out of fear. At least that is what I told myself. I ran because the office had given me one more photograph. It had not been on the wall when I entered. I would swear that in court. But as I turned to leave, it lay on the desk beside the phone. A new photo booth strip. For pictures. First, the old arcade. Second, a storage room behind it. Third, a hand pointing to a loose floor tile. Fourth, Owen, older, standing outside a blue house with yellow curtains. On the back, in handwriting that was not my father's, were 2 words. "Ask Mother." My mother had spent 22 years half alive after Owen vanished. She lived in a small house near the edge of town, with wind chimes on the porch, and every curtain open because she said closed curtains made a house look guilty. I woke her at 1:08 in the morning. When she opened the door and saw my face, she said, "You found the booth." Now it happened. Not "Are you okay?" "You found the booth. You knew." She stepped aside. "Your father thought hiding it would protect you. Did you know Owen was alive?" Her mouth trembled. I knew he might be. That answer was almost worse. In the kitchen, she made tea neither of us drank. Then she told me what my father never wrote down. The booth did not start with Owen. In the 80s, Westboro Plaza had a security office that handled problems quietly. Shoplifting, runaway kids, employees stealing. Men with influence used the mall because nobody questioned adults in service corridors. My father discovered that certain security guards were moving children through the back of the mall. Not every week, not even every year. Rarely enough to stay a rumor, often enough to be real. He tried to report it. Then Owen vanished. "They punished him," I said. My mother nodded. "And then they punished us by letting hope survive." She took the photo strip from my hand and looked at the 4th image. The blue house. Her eyes closed. "You know it," I said. "Your father found that address in 2016. What happened?" Owen was there. The room became very quiet. "What?" "Your father saw him through a window. Grown. Alive. Sitting at a kitchen table." "Why didn't he bring him home?" My mother looked at me with a grief so old it had become part of her face. "Because Owen had a child on his lap." I did not understand. He had a family, Noah, a woman, a little girl. Your father watched him for 3 hours. Owen looked peaceful, so he left. He left a note. What did it say? She looked toward the hallway. It said, "If you remember us, come home. If you don't, forgive me for wanting you to." Did Owen answer? My mother shook her head. The house was empty the next week. I thought of my father carrying that failure alone for years. Then I thought of him choosing for all of us. Where's the blue house? My mother gave me the address. It was 2 towns over, on a quiet street with maple trees and porch lights. At dawn, I parked across from it and watched yellow curtains move in an upstairs window. The house looked lived in. Bikes near the garage. Chalk on the driveway. A ceramic planter shaped like a turtle by the steps. For one foolish second, I imagined walking up, knocking, and having Owen open the door. Instead, a woman answered. She was about my age, with tired eyes and paint on one sleeve. When I said Owen Harper, her face closed. "I don't know that name." "I think you do." She started to shut the door. I held up the photo strip from my funeral. "He came to this," I said. "Or he will. I don't know anymore." She looked at the picture. The color left her face. "Where did you get that?" "The mall." Behind her, a little girl appeared in the hallway, maybe 8 years old, holding a cereal bowl. The woman stepped out and closed the door behind her. "You need to leave." "Is he alive?" She looked down the street before answering. "Yes." The word should have saved me. Instead, it made the last 22 years collapse all at once. "Where is he?" "Trying to keep us alive." Her name was Claire. She had met Owen 12 years earlier when he was using a different name and working nights repairing security systems. He remembered some of his childhood, but not all. He remembered the camera shop. He remembered me. He remembered our mother singing while she washed dishes. He did not remember the days after the mall. He had been taken by people tied to the security office, moved through houses, trained into the same work they used to hide what they did. Cameras, locks, alarms, records. When he was old enough, he began stealing files instead. That was why he stayed gone. He thought if he came home before he had proof, they would come for you. Claire said. They already did. She looked at the photo strip again. Then he was right to be scared. She gave me a meeting place. Not a phone number, not an address. A place. The old mall arcade, midnight. I returned to Westbrook Plaza with my mother's hand on my shoulder and my father's letter in my pocket. She insisted on coming. "I lost one son in that building," she said. "I'm not waiting at home while the other walks back in." At midnight, the mall was black except for emergency lights. We crossed the food court, past the dry fountain, and stopped outside the arcade. The gate was half open. Inside, machines stood in rows like sleeping animals. Dust covered the screens. Prize tickets spilled from a broken dispenser in faded pink loops. At the back, near the racing game, a man waited. For a moment, I saw the 13-year-old boy from old photographs. Then he stepped into the light, and I saw the years. Owen was thinner than he should have been. His hair was longer. There was a scar near his mouth I did not recognize. But his eyes were the same. My brother's eyes. My mother made a sound that was almost his name. Owen looked at her and broke. Not dramatically. Not like a movie. His face simply gave up pretending. She crossed the arcade and held him so tightly I thought they might both fall. I stood there, useless, until Owen reached one hand toward me. "Noah," he said. My name and his voice was the first real proof. We spent an hour in the arcade while Owen told us what he could. He had files hidden in places my father never found. Names, dates, recordings, payments. Enough to expose living men who had spent decades becoming respectable. "Why now?" I asked. He looked toward the photo booth, visible through the service hallway door. "Because it printed your funeral. You know, it printed mine once too." He pulled a strip from his coat. "For photographs. An empty chair at a kitchen table. A little girl crying. Claire alone in a doorway. Me standing beside my mother's grave. The booth doesn't show the future," Owen said. "It shows what happens if everyone keeps choosing fear." He handed me a flash drive. "Your father got close. Closer than he knew. I hated him for not finding me. Then I became a father and understood how fear can make even love cowardly." The service hallway door opened. An older man stepped out. Gray hair, dark coat, security badge from a company that no longer existed. I recognized his voice before his face. "The phone call. Touching," he said. Owen moved in front of our mother. The man held no weapon. That somehow made him worse. Men like him survived by making fear do the work before violence had to. "Give me the drive," he said. Owen shook his head. The old man smiled. "Still the boy who follows strangers." That was when the photo booth flashed. Once. Then again. The sound echoed through the arcade. A strip slid from the slot. The old man looked at it. So did we. He reached the booth first, yanked the strip out, and froze. His hand began to shake. I never saw the photographs clearly. Only the last one. The old man sitting alone in a courtroom, his face smaller than his guilt. For the first time, he looked afraid. Owen stepped forward. "It shows what you're most afraid to develop." Police arrived 9 minutes later. Not because we called them from the mall. Because Owen had already sent the files to 3 journalists, 2 detectives outside the county, and Claire, who had instructions to call if he missed a check-in. The old man tried to walk away with dignity. He did not get far. The story broke slowly, then all at once. Westbrook Plaza became a crime scene before it became a demolition site. Men who had been principals, business owners, donors, and retired officers found their names in files they thought had been buried under dead storefronts. Some denied everything. Some hired lawyers. Some had the decency to look sick. My father did not live to see it. I hated that. I hated him too, for hiding so much for choosing silence, for deciding alone what truth we could survive. Then I found one final strip in his metal cabinet. It showed him years earlier, sitting inside the photo booth with his hands over his face. In the next frame, he held a photograph of Owen. In the third, he held one of me. In the fourth, he looked directly into the camera. On the back, he had written, "I kept the shop open because it was the only prayer I knew how to make." That did not forgive him, but it made hating him less simple. Owen did come home, not all at once. You cannot return to a life that stopped at 13 and expect it to fit a grown man. He had Claire. He had his daughter. He had scars, habits, silences. My mother wanted to make 22 years disappear with soup and clean sheets. Owen let her try sometimes. That was mercy. The mall was demolished in spring. Before they tore it down, the investigators released my father's shop back to us for one afternoon. Owen, my mother, and I stood in the back hallway beside the photo booth. It looked smaller in daylight. Just red curtain, chrome trim, cracked seat. No magic, no mercy. Only a machine that had somehow spent decades forcing hidden pictures into the light. Owen placed his hand on the curtain. "Do you think it will print again?" My mother said, "I hope not." I stepped inside one last time. The seat creaked. The little scratched initials were still on the wall. OH, NH, brothers, before the world learned how to separate us. The machine clicked. Outside, Owen whispered my name. A strip slid into the tray. For pictures. First, the mall floor, empty and full of sunlight. Second, my mother at our kitchen table, laughing at something Owen's daughter had said. Third, Owen and me, standing beside my father's old camera shop sign. Fourth, the photo booth itself, curtain open, empty. On the back, no handwriting, no warning, no date, just a blank white space. For the first time, the booth had not shown fear. It had shown an ending. I keep that strip framed above my desk. People ask why I would want to look at the thing that started all of this. I tell them it did not start there. It started with a boy who followed a stranger because he saw something wrong. It continued with a father too ashamed to stop searching and too afraid to tell the truth. It survived in a mother who kept setting 3 plates on birthdays, even after everyone told her 2 was enough. And it ended, or began ending, in a dead mall, under emergency lights, when my brother said my name like he had been carrying it in his mouth for 22 years. The photo booth printed 4 pictures from my funeral. I'm still alive. So is Owen. And sometimes on quiet nights, when my mother calls and I hear my brother's voice in the background, I think about that 4th photograph. The booth empty, the curtain open. Some rooms only keep their power while the truth is locked inside them. Once the truth walks out, they're just rooms again,